They want to do it healthy, they want to do it injury-free. We can exchange ideas and improve upon each other. That's why we invite you to try our 2-week Quick Start program to see if our exclusive community is for you. You see, we understand that a 6 and 12-month membership is a big commitment, so this 2-week Quick Start program is perfect just to get you running and get you feeling the benefits of the coaching and the workouts that we have to offer to get you running lighter, stronger, and smoother. All you need.
All right. Do we remember how to do this thing?
I don't know if we remember how to do this. Hold on, I think this is a little bit too loud. All right, should we say we're back? We're back.
We're checking in.
We have not done a live show now for a couple of months.
It's been a month or two. The live streams have changed because some of you guys have seen us live, but it's been in Boston for the marathon. It's been in London for the marathon there. So it's been a little different.
Something's still the same.
Yeah.
Cheers. Tastes like it works.
Well, that's good. I got a little peanut butter. What is that?
A little bit of peanut butter powder.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that.
I'm changing it up a little bit. We have been hard at work doing a multitude of things, not the least of which will be public in about a month. The mobile app, the long-awaited mobile app, is in live beta right now, and will be publicly available.
Yeah, some of you guys are already on it. We have been, our whole team has just been putting our programs in there, and we are building out
new workouts,
a whole new section of
GPS
workouts.
tracking, community elements, ask coaches questions. All of it is available in our iOS app, and we are excited to get that out to you guys. It has taken a all hands on deck.
It really has.
Type of effort.
How are you feeling about it?
I feel very excited about it. I also feel that we need to get out the door.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a long time coming.
You guys know how you feel like when you've been training for a long time and it's like you're like a month, 3 weeks away from race day and you're at like peak training and you're just like, oh, I got to drag myself through. That's where I'm at a little bit.
I'll tell you what though, I miss these live shows. It's just not the same.
It isn't the same. Yeah, we get to chat with you guys and hang out and
today we have one of a very esteemed guests, Matt. Oh, wait, look at all these people coming in.
Yeah, we got a bunch of you guys.
Lizzie Runs Fars there.
Hello.
GDK Mouse. Oh, we do have some of our old friends coming back. I was wondering if people had left and forgotten about us.
Well,
but yes, GDK Mouse, long time no see. I know. We are actually, there eventually will be a live version of available in the app, so we can go live in the app, and talk about different coaching things.
Real good.
So we are a lot of different projects. We've been traveling a bunch.
Yeah, we have.
Nate has made the rounds.
Yeah, it's been fun to go to the marathons. Boston was a trip. London was great. London was such a fun trip.
Yep.
It was fun to connect with some of you guys across the pond. Just to watch the London Marathon.
Kipchoge high-fived me as he
they went right by us. Like we were in a really cool spot.
Yeah.
And so that energy was really fun. And it was like our first international trip.
We ran what do you call it? Park run?
Yep, we did a park run, and if some of you guys saw that, we did our daily vlogs, which, man, for people who do that on the regular, actually, I don't know how you do it, but it was like, those videos that we did for Boston and London, I was in like battle mode. I was like, okay, we gotta like get footage, we gotta go home, we gotta edit, we gotta upload it, and
Nate's really good at it too, because it actually turned out really well.
They were great, and shout out to our editor Jeff Loop for getting those things turned out.
Shout out to some of these people. Hey, the FOD Runner's back.
Yeah,
Liz Runs Far is back. Hey Liz, good to see you.
Hello from Germany.
All our old friends. Guys, we are thrilled to be back and doing a live show.
Yeah.
Now, I have to say, it's not going to be a regular thing right now, but once we get the app out, we will relook.
We'll get back in the mix.
We'll relook at season 2. But because we had Matt Fitzgerald coming on.
Has season 1 been like 3 years? 2 years?
See, the seasons are,
season 2.
You know, it's kind of like Game of Thrones. Like, you can just take off for like a year and a half and be like, oh, it's just a different season.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But yes, we have Matt Fitzgerald on today. We are really thrilled to have him. Like, I have read a bunch of his books. Actually, one of my favorite books I read from him, this was when I was in like my peak triathlon geek out days, was Iron War. If you guys never read it, it's a great account. He's just such a great storyteller and writer.
And he's a
it's-
student of the game.
He really is. And
Really, truly, both on himself and for others.
so just like in terms of a book of reading for like pure pleasure, like this was so great. And it talks about the iconic Iron Man battle at the Kona Iron Man World Championships between Mark Allen and Dave Scott, where they were just like shoulder to shoulder, like basically all the way through the race.
Yeah.
So cool. And since he's come out with, you read Brain Training for Runners?
I read Brain. Yeah, that was actually before I met Nate. That was probably my main source of running knowledge. Was a Matt Fitzgerald book, because the old books I used to use in like high school and college were, you know, like Hal Hayden's books and
Right.
Jeff Galloway's books. And once I got through college, they were no longer. They just weren't relevant to me anymore. And so yeah,
You grew up, moved on.
I grew up, moved on, and then I met this guy, and I had a live coach. So
Yeah. And then, and then he's written 80-20 running. He's done a lot of nutrition. So we're excited to really talk to him just about just him and his journey, his running and writing, and then also
and
his latest book, Life is a Marathon.
Life is a Marathon is the title of today's show, but also the title of his book, and it is a different type of book.
Yeah.
Digs into some of his personal stories, which we're going to get into, and yeah, so super excited about that because this is somebody who so like that I have been a follower of for a while now.
Yeah,
and
really
it's
excited.
pretty
Yeah,
cool
we'll
that-
get to have our own little fanboy moments. So a few things from a business standpoint we got to cover. This live show is sponsored by Aftershocks headphones.
Fantastic, yes.
And I got a little smoothie in my
Where
throat.
are aftershocks?
I got mine.
Yeah, pick yours out.
They are
Mine are near the
basically just my favorite headphones on the planet, and I use them all the time. I take phone calls with them. These are the Trex Airs, and I just put these around my neck. I throw them up over my ears. I love running with them because I can run with Nordog, and I can just hear street sounds. I can hear her if she runs off to chase something, and I love it. It's great.
So I'll tell a story that hopefully this puts it in a good light, but this is just a true story. Aftershocks, that we first heard about them was at it was a half marathon. I think it was one of the half marathons in the area. What was it?
Oh, rock and roll?
Rock and roll. So we show up. I'm running the race. We show up just to kind of check out the expo, and these guys were there. And I was like, "What is this? What is bone conduction?
Yeah.
Come on." And we go over there, and we're like, "Hey, like we're from the running experience, and so on and so forth." And they actually gave us. They're decently expensive. They actually gave us 2 pairs of headphones.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, cool, this sounds fine, like whatever. We're in the expo, so it was actually not a good place to check them out because
Yeah.
it's really loud in
They're
there.
not great headphones to wear like in a loud gym.
Yeah. So we take them home, and both of us started using them, and
Really
we
good,
are
right?
awash with headphones
Yeah.
because people send us headphones all the time. And and then like we're at dinner one time, and Nate's like wearing his around. He just wears them all the time. And so every time we go to an expo, we're like, yeah, we should like work with you guys because we use your stuff all the time.
They're really
And
great.
yeah.
Great. So they have 2 deals going on. If you've seen some of our videos sponsored by Aftershocks in the past, they have a link there for this endurance bundle that they're actually giving away to one person today. It's worth $199.
Yeah.
You get this cool little shoe bag, you get like a cooling towel and a water bottle. So fun little package, and you get to choose your color of headphones. So
And these are the upgraded.
these are the lighter ones.
They're
Yeah,
really
so
nice. Yeah.
if you want to check it out, support the video, support us, click the link in the description of the video, enter the giveaway. Fun thing, we're going to do the giveaway live at the end of this video as
Right.
opposed to waiting a week. So it's really only open for you guys who are watching live. Got a good
Fantastic.
shot.
Yep.
What else we got going on here?
I have been trying out some new gear.
Yeah.
We have actually all kinds of things that are happening. We just got new socks in.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want me to show those?
Please.
I have
Do you
to
know
go
where they
in
are?
No, they're in the other room. I can go get them.
They're not ready for totally
Okay.
public. Well,
They are. Are they not ready?
No, they are ready. They are totally ready. We got new socks made. We haven't totally distributed them to our team yet, but they are super fun. They're the same guys who made our beanie hats here. Yeah, pull these out so you.
Nate only
people
gave
can
me
see
2 pairs of them, so I'm keeping them in pristine condition.
Oh, there we go. Collector's item.
Collector's item.
I know, right? with a little earn your miles tag on them.
You can't damage the packaging, otherwise they lose value.
Yeah, right?
Okay,
Wow, okay. There we go. So check these suckers out.
Check this out. This is pretty cool. It says running experience at the top. It says earn your miles, nice little details, and they're really nice socks. I thought you did a great job, man.
Yeah, thank you. They're really fun. They are like kind of cottony wool socks. They're great for trail running if you like those higher style. They're good for all around.
I just wear them as normal socks.
I wouldn't say they're like I don't know if I'd wear them on an 80-degree day.
They're not like thin runner socks. That wasn't what we were going for. In the same way, when we made a beanie, we weren't going for a running beanie. It's just a beanie. But
fashion style.
They are they're pretty sweet. I like them. And we have new hats that are being designed.
We have new hats coming out, which we're really excited about. Working on a t-shirt and some other apparel, but it's all balanced with the app, the new programs, all that stuff.
We were hard at work.
Injured Runner program, we're developing that.
Oh man, you just coming out with it. Okay, cool. So we have an injured running program coming out. This is really cool. I think this is amazing because we have the injury prevention program, and sometimes when people are injured, we tell them, hey, there's still stuff you can do, go to the injury prevention program, but really that is meant for like upkeep and maintenance of your body to prevent injury. Now we're gonna have a program where you can dive in, and these are workouts that you can do when you are injured. So if you've already hit the wall and you have a flared up Achilles, well, sitting on your butt might not be the best option.
And like the area, guys, that we can help with this and that we're pondering, we're taking our time as we develop this because we want to be thoughtful about it. We're not physical therapists or doctors, and we're not trying to play them online. So what we're trying to connect are...
My initials are MD.
That is true. I was just gonna say your email address online, but I was like, maybe I should do that. I'll just
don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah,
I'll keep that quiet. It's just things that are within our power, right? That like the 90% of stuff that we can do to improve our own bodies, to strengthen, improve, tweak, adjust. And I know that you guys are always looking for a little bit more guidance because you're like, my knee hurts. Okay, maybe I start with a couch stretch, but then how often do I do it?
Right.
And then it's like, well, what's next? Like, when do I start to run? What other exercises should I do to support myself if I'm dealing with knee pain or something collectively in the runner's knee category?
Yep.
So that's the deal. So we're gonna carve that out for a few major issues that most runners experience and launch it in the app, and everything magically is gonna get better.
Yeah. You know what I was just thinking of? During the London Marathon, we had the largest live stream that we've ever had. It was like 1,500 people or something.
Yeah.
And so I kept asking people to like the video.
Oh yeah, I know.
He hated it. But it was so fun because every time I tell people like the video, we get 100 more likes. And we were there for like 2.5 hours, so like we had to make fun of something, right? Mm-hmm. So it was our most liked video probably. I don't know. Actually, probably not, because we have millions of views and some other stuff. But yeah, it was really fun. So if you want, you can like the video, but it's really not that important.
Yeah. Well, let's get in. I feel like we're real rusty right now. We can get back into our crew.
I feel great. I have my green smoothie. We were talking about the mobile app this morning and discussing how Nate is got a lot of work that I've piled on him, and meanwhile I'm like, I'm so excited. Let's get this work done. So coming at this live show with a little bit of we've had a long month or so of work.
It's been a good drive, but we're excited to see where it comes out through. And of course, to check in with you guys and hang out and chat a little bit. Why don't we get Mr. Fitzgerald on the line?
Oh look, Robert Chase says about the aftershocks that I love them. I run in a city environment where I feel very safe because I can hear everything around me while still hearing my music or podcast super clear, worth the money.
Totally.
That is actually the reason I think aftershocks are popular. It's just that it's there are a lot of people that have closed ear headphones where they try to seal off your ear, which is great. I think if you're on a plane, I wouldn't recommend these as much if you're on a plane because the ambient noise is actually not something you want. But
they're light, battery lasts a long time, and they're actually pretty good for phone calls. So I found that if you're listening to them, someone calls you, you can easily hit it.
Oh, interesting. I haven't seen mobile on them.
I've had it in the rain. It's they just work great.
Yeah.
They work
so
great.
We're super happy to be partnered up with them.
Yeah.
just like when we partner with UCAN, like we basically courted them for a while because we like their stuff so much. So
Yeah.
similar.
But let's talk to the man.
Let's do it.
Get him on.
All right, guys. A little rusty on the technology side of our live show, so bear with us while we try to get this running. Here we go. Let's see if we can.
We're calling Mr. Matt Fitzgerald here, and then we'll get that transferred over to you guys.
All right, so Matt, just turn off our sound there.
There we go.
Yeah.
Muting the YouTube.
Or just close that window, whatever it is. There we go.
Transition you over.
All
there
right.
we are.
So, hopefully, if you speak, everybody can hear you.
Matt, how are you doing today?
I am doing well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Matt, welcome to our channel. We just want to make sure everyone can, hear you. So, you just started by telling us you had just driven from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast over the last 7 or 8 days?
The other way around. Went from west to east.
West Coast, East Coast.
Oh, okay.
Because he's usually here between us and Yosemite.
Yeah.
He said he went to North Carolina?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island, sorry. Yeah.
What prompted the drive and the adventure?
Two things. So I wanted to visit my folks in Rhode Island. So my mom, I don't mean to be a bummer, but she's got Alzheimer's disease, which is a drag, and it makes me want to see her as much as I possibly can, despite
Sure.
support my dad as well, who's got a heavy burden on him as husband and caregiver. So that was one impetus, and then I had a book to promote, so I figured why not. And my wife and I loved road tripping together, so we figured we would drive out, do some book signings along the way, kind of stepping stones on our way east, then hang out and chill with my folks for 2 weeks. They live right on basically a private beach on the Narragansett Bay in Rhode Island, so it's
Beautiful.
Really happy place to hang if you like to swim, bike, and run as I do. And then we'll turn around and head back west on June 4th.
Yeah.
And you're going to road trip back out?
That's right.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Are you taking 90 across on the way home, or are you going north or south?
We end up with on the way back, my wife Nataki's father lives in Oklahoma City, so we got to go through Oklahoma City. And I have some connections in St. Louis. Would love to put together a book event there. I've already got one set up in rural Oregon, so it's just kind of zigzaggy, just
Gotcha.
where
Yeah.
the stops we got to get to.
Now,
Gotcha, makes sense.
Now, you were just telling us before we got on the call, we were doing a quick little sound check, that you've written 27 or 28 books now. Like, do you have, like, the book launch pretty dialed in at this point, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, it would be kind of pathetic if I'd done 20.
Yeah.
Learned nothing.
That's amazing.
So yeah, but the thing is, it's always a crapshoot. It's like I liken it to like trying to write a hip hop song. Like if there truly was a formula for it, everyone would do it, right?
Right.
And
yeah.
it's the same thing when you write a book about running. You think you have a good idea, you do your best to execute it. You put your heart and soul into getting it out there in front of people, and then quite honestly, some of them take off, and others are duds, and then some
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah. And in our own small way, we experience that with videos that we put out online. Like there's some videos that, like, if I were to pick among 10 others in a lineup, I'd be like, well, I liked this video, but I wasn't like in love with it. And that's the video that takes off. And there's certain videos that I just like put so much of myself in and was so excited. And like there was an appreciative audience for it. It just wasn't as big.
Yep.
So you always get that balance.
So this book is actually, this is a little bit of a different book in terms of it being a memoir and like having a lot more personal stuff about your life. Is there, what was the kind of thinking in the initial stage of like, hey, I think this is what I want to write about next?
Yeah, just for me, running has always been a sport and an experience. I love running qua sport. I love that feeling of ascendancy, like when you've got a goal and you're putting in the work and you just feel your body transforming, and you're paying attention to numbers, and the numbers just give you this validation that it's working. I love all that. But I also love the fact that, especially as I get older and it's harder for me to, be faster than I was before, I also love the inner journey that the sport takes you on. And in my case, I have, as I said in an article that I wrote for Outside Magazine to promote this book, I might not be alive today if not for running, just because of the way my life went sideways when my wife was diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
So I actually wanted to talk about that a little bit more, and I just read that article actually this morning. So number one, I appreciate you putting that out there. I mean, that is a very vulnerable, honest thing to share. What prompted you to want to share that story?
And maybe give our
the context of what the story is.
Quick context of the story, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So just very briefly, my wife got sick and tried to kill me with a large kitchen knife one night. And this is a woman who is as peace-loving and gentle a human being as I've ever known. So it just shows you what a mental illness can do to just your essential nature. And I was just wholly unprepared to assume the role that I was now going to be in for the rest of my life, because that disease is a life sentence. It's treatable. You can live a basically normal life, but it can take a long time to get there. And for us, we kind of had a whole decade of hell or purgatory or something of that nature, with 911 calls more than I can remember, multiple hospitalizations, multiple near-death experiences for both Nataki and myself, just stuff that was way harder than hitting the wall in a marathon. But
is this the first time, sorry to interrupt you, is this the first time that you are sharing this or speaking publicly about it? Were you sharing it at the time, or were you kind of keeping it close to the chest?
You must have been writing at the time, while this was all going on.
I was documenting a lot of it, just because, my wife and I already had a very interesting relationship before she got sick, just because we're the quintessential example of opposites attract. And I always found that really stimulating and exciting. Demographically, we're just no one would have matched us up except the one mutual friend who actually did.
Right.
Because she said we're both snobs, whatever that means.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Continue. Continue.
I was just going to say, so people might wonder, well, what does running have to do with any of this, right? But at the time when Nataki got sick, I was on this, what was for me a very important, pilgrimage to overcome what I saw as a tendency toward cowardice within myself. It sort of a mental weakness or a severe case of head case. Ruined running for me as a young athlete. I grew up in New Hampshire. I was one of the top cross-country runners in my state, but it all just fizzled because I just couldn't stand the pain of racing. And I quit the sport, but that burden, I had skeletons in my closet. So after Nataki and I hooked up, I got back into endurance sports, and I was hell-bent on completing that mission. It meant a lot to me to change how I saw myself as a man, to be able to look in the mirror and respect myself. And in the weirdest way, when this challenge in a part of my life that had nothing to do with sports, my marriage, I needed a lot more courage for that than I ever needed to leave it all out there on a race course. And so the two things kind of started to feed into each other in a really interesting way. I mean, interesting is the word I use now. It was just trauma.
Oh, in a negative way initially, and then later in terms of learning.
Yeah, it was complicated because, like, in a sense, like through my pursuit of testing my limits as an athlete, I was training myself to be resilient, to be able to not hit the panic button when I had every reason to. And then
Gotcha.
and what I needed that training for was something that was much higher stakes, which was basically saving the life of the woman I loved most, and also maybe saving my own,
Right.
and trying to preserve the hopes we had for a happy life together.
Right.
Wow. You were a talented runner when you were younger. You really struggled on the mental competition side. You burned out, left it for a long time. You meet your wife, get married, and you get back into running like after college. Right now, like I've just associated you so long with the running industry as a writer and as a coach, like, but chances are like you weren't in the industry then after college, right? Like what got you into it? Like were you like obviously like you getting back into running again, were you like doing another job or thinking about your career in a different way back then?
Yeah, that's where it starts to feel like fate might have had a hand in all of this, because I grew up wanting to be a writer. My father is a writer, so I was fortunate. I had an obvious interest in it from the third grade on, and I had the advantage of having a living example in my house. You could actually do that, and if you grew up wanting to be a writer, you don't want to necessarily write about running. Let's be honest. You want to write the great American novel.
Right.
And a couple of years after college, I went to, I grew up in New Hampshire, went to college in Philadelphia, and then packed up a Volkswagen and moved to San Francisco in 1995 for no reason other than I thought that would be a good place to make it as a writer. And just as chance would have it, the first job I was able to get there was with a startup triathlon magazine. And at the time I got that job, I was not training, I was out of shape, I was overweight, but suddenly I was within a milieu that slowly kind of relit that glowing ember of the athlete inside me, and that's what sucked me back into it.
Oh wow.
Wow. That is crazy. And so the writing came first, and then the kind of like story of what was going on in your life kind of actually brought you back into running, and those two things merged.
Yeah, at the time when I landed in San Francisco, I remember seeing that I was going to swing at every pitch. I was 24 years old. I didn't have a ton of experience, and I remember there was an opportunity at High Times magazine, the cannabis culture.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go for it, and my girlfriend at the time was like, "No, that'll be a blot on your resume for forevermore." So if I had taken that, who knows where I would be now? But it just happened to be this endurance sports thing. Which
I hear athletes are now using CBD oil for recovery. So it would have just melded in a different way.
Yeah. What do you, Matt?
Same place by a different path.
What do you think about the CBD oil for recovery? Can we get an official statement?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually am completely clueless. I don't know. Like, I sort of go through. I mean, I care about learning about what works to enhance endurance performance as an athlete myself, as a coach, and as someone who writes about this stuff. But I tune a lot of stuff out. I kind of have like this system where I need to see a certain amount of penetration both in science and at the elite level of the sport before you got my attention. And so I'm not necessarily the first person on a bandwagon with some of this stuff.
Right.
But I become a champion for certain things like, carbohydrate depletion sessions, and that's something I saw enough science, I saw enough elite athletes doing it, I tried it myself, I'm like, hey, there's something here, and so now I'm a proponent of that. I'm not saying there's nothing to the CBD oil thing, I'm just saying it hasn't kind of gotten to that threshold where
it's still early.
Attention to everything. so many
Yeah.
things along that are like, they show early promise. Like there's one study out of China that says, oh man, it's resveratrol. Everyone's got to be just downing huge amounts of resveratrol. And then
Yeah.
subsequent studies prove it's just like, it's good for
What-
rats.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna pull on this thread a little bit more. What about
Tart cherry juice?
Yeah, beet juice or tart cherry juice or things like that.
I'm on both of those.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So you are on those trains?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. I wasn't expecting that.
I recently did an Ironman triathlon. I spent months preparing for it, and it mattered a lot to me, how I performed there. And so, it was a short list of measures, of the more esoteric measures that you can take to try and squeeze out the last 2 or 3%. But tart cherry juice and beetroot powder, I would actually mix them together because the beet stuff makes you want to throw up.
Yeah.
But if you mix it into the tart cherry juice, so they're both beneficial. But if you actually, it's like chocolate and peanut butter, right? You put them together, and it just like they were meant to be together.
What do you feel like
This
that?
is the new additions to the
I
smoothie.
know, right?
Yeah.
Seriously. What do you feel like it gave you that you feel like you were missing, or like how did you feel differently in your training sessions in the race that you wouldn't necessarily have felt had you not taken it?
Yeah, the thing is about one of the stuff that gives you 1 or 1.5% advantage. You're not necessarily going to feel it, especially in a context where you're pulling a lot of levers at the same time. So
Yeah.
I was very systematically training, measuring my gains in performance, especially on the bike, where you can just dial in with watts and power to weight ratio and stuff like that.
Right.
So those numbers were telling me that I was making rapid.
Really?
Yeah. Incredible.
But
interesting.
But I was building up my training load. I was doing
Yeah.
the fruit juice. I was doing the carbohydrate restricted sessions, and so like, how do you divide up the pie? Maybe all of it contributed, but
This is the title of your next book, actually, Tart Cherry Juice.
Yeah.
Got that ring.
So you brought up power, and I'm just gonna keep pulling on this the whole
Oh,
geek thread.
Lord.
It's so good. So I grew up as a triathlete as well. Spent a lot of time training, did some mountain bike racing, and was like very fluent with using a power meter on the bike, both power and heart rate. Now there are power meters out with like running. Stride gave us some power meters to test out. I used them a little bit last year. Like, what are your thoughts on power in running? I don't know if you've like used it yet or you see its potential.
yeah, I got a chance to demo the Stride product a while back, and I coach a lot of athletes who use it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, when you come from either a cycling or a triathlon background, watts makes sense to you. It's not, it's not this great leap.
No, right.
Like conceptually, you get it. That watts offer an apples to apples measure of work output. That it's just much more pure than velocity or heart rate or anything else that can be influenced by all these different factors. So
totally. And just to give you guys out there who may not know what power or wattage is, it's the idea that if I'm cycling at 10 miles an hour on a flat road, that's going to require certain effort, different than if I were to go 10 miles an hour up a hill or into a headwind, or if I weigh 200 pounds versus 150 pounds. And the idea is that wattage is able to distill the effort and take away from speed, because there's so much variability in cycling.
Yeah.
Running, the window is probably a little narrower. You're probably not going to see quite as much variability, but it's still there. So a 8-minute mile does not require the same effort flat, uphill, into a headwind, downhill, things like that.
So you have used the Stride Power Pod?
yeah.
And so one thing I've been confused about is, what are they doing in the pod that, and I should ask them directly, like, that they don't have in a Fitbit or a watch or a GPS? Like, what sensor is allowing them to get power that the other devices are not getting?
Yeah, well, it's like a mini force plate. So power is work over distance.
Yeah.
So, it's a complete, like an accelerometer can't do that. Like you could very indirectly try to estimate power output through, but it's really, you need to start with, these are all physics terms, but force is a definite thing. So like on a bike, when you push on a pedal, you are applying force.
Right.
And you're applying force at a rate, which means, over time.
Sure.
And so that's what that thing is doing. That in your shoe is doing exactly that. It's like a little force plate.
Totally
interesting.
Now we could pick your brain on all these little myriad things, but like let's go back to your book. I want to say I have this correct. As I don't know if it was in the book or something you did before after, but you did a lot of back-to-back marathons in a short period of time.
Yep.
And I think it was a week. You did like 7 marathons in a row or something like that?
Oh, it was actually a marathon a week for 8 weeks as part of a cross-country tour. So this is 2017, spring of 2017.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just part of, because in this book, it's really sort of a celebration and a deep exploration into the transformative power of testing physical and mental limits as an endurance athlete. Mm-hmm. I definitely had a story to tell that I thought would be interesting to people. It was certainly interesting to me, having survived.
So a marathon a week for 8 weeks. Was it like did you like find actual marathon sanctioned races, or did you like, depending where you were, like put on your own marathon?
No, I didn't have to do any of that weirdness. Just because, at that rate, if it's, I could afford to just wait for the next weekend, basically.
Yeah,
and there's always a sanctioned marathon somewhere on a weekend.
It's really kind of crazy that it is that way now, huh?
But so I started with my hometown marathon, which is the Modesto Marathon, and that's like basically around the first day of spring, like the official first day of spring. So I was able to sleep in my own bed the night before that, and then Nataki, my wife, and our little pooch Queenie and I hit the road, and I sort of had to connect the dots. I knew the bookends were Modesto at the start and Boston halfway through.
Gotcha.
And then so everything else had to sort of fit in between, like geographically and temporally.
Yeah.
And, I just spent a lot of time on marathonguide.com and I ended up like having to choose some pretty out of the way, like funky, quirky events, which was part of the fun of the
just the personality of it. That's so cool. What was it? What was it like to run Boston when everyone is like super revved up to go, and that's like marathon number 4 for you or number 5? Did you feel like I have to like hold back, or were you like fatigued at that point and couldn't push that hard, or did you just like feel really good and you're like, I'm just gonna like go for it?
Yeah, I did it in very particular circumstances. So, in the lead up, like sort of the training for this journey, I was hobbled by a chronic Achilles injury. So I couldn't do anything fast, but I wasn't intending to race any of these marathons anyway, except I love to race, So, when I've got a number on my belly, I want to put it all out there. And I knew it would be a challenge to hold myself back. But I told myself, if I can survive the first 7, and then Eugene was the last one.
That's cool.
I'll let it all hang out in Eugene, but I got to get there. So my strategy, which was helped by my Achilles injury, was to sort of start the whole thing deliberately undertrained. Because if I'm in peak shape for the first event, I'm going to be fried to a crisp by...
Right, you're just going to shatter yourself, yeah.
And, I think, not to pat myself on the back, but because I was experienced enough to know that that was smart, and it actually worked out exactly that way. But as a result
That's
of that,
interesting.
what I found was I was getting fitter and fitter and fitter as I went through. And because I'm a competitor by nature, it was becoming harder and harder and harder to hold myself back.
That's interesting.
What was your arc of times? Like, what was the?
Well, it's almost like Tour de France riders trying to nail their preparation, so they're like coming into form at the end of the second and then into the third week. Yeah, that's cool.
I was taking a deliberate page from bicycle stage racers and such. So.
Sure.
Wow.
But I mean, I really eased into it because, like Modesto, I ran with my older brother, who was he's actually a pretty talented runner, but he's a little older. He's let himself go, and he was making a comeback, and he had to walk a bit in his race. So that one was like a 4:13, which was a bit of a disaster for him, but for me, it was like the perfect way to sort of
ease into it.
But by the time I got to Boston, I have a buddy who I ran in high school with. He was my best friend, and we were sort of frenemies in the sense that we were competitors. We were co-captains of the team. He beat me sometimes, I beat him sometimes. And he was running Boston. Unlike me, he got way away from running for a long time. And I think partly inspired by what I was doing, he thought, but I'm just going to, before I'm too terribly old, I'm going to take a shot at this. So he qualifies, because talent doesn't disappear. He was talented. He qualified easily for Boston, and he shows up wanting to break 3 hours. And I come into Boston thinking, I would love to run the whole thing with him, but I've got 3 more marathons in 3 weeks to think of.
Right.
This Achilles thing is really bothering me. But then, we get out there together, and for me, this is one of the most poignant moments of the entire journey because, you have to understand the sense of nostalgia I was feeling. It was amazing. Yeah. It was like running next to my old buddy. The last time I'd really seriously run with him or raced with him was when we were 17. We were now 45 and 46.
Yeah.
But it was
really cool.
Like time was just obliterated, and
oh, that's amazing.
The feeling of being next to him, the way he just had to half step me all the way through the freaking race. We're running together, but you're really running behind me, and it was just magical. And so my plan actually was to get to Heartbreak Hill and let him go because I really wanted to be prudent.
Yeah.
But it was clear that he was on the rivet, and he was going for it, and I just appreciated the courage he was showing. That was a hot day. It was 2017. That was one of those 73 degrees.
Yeah.
He was laying it all out there, and at the precise moment when I was supposed to let him go, I heard him audibly groan, and something about that just made the decision for me. It's and my Achilles was on fire. Everything out my own experience was saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
And screw it. I stayed with him, paced him through the rest of the race. We ran 2:57.
Wow.
He got his goal of breaking 3 hours, and it was just, there's a photo of it. I should share it with you guys. From Boylston Street, running the home stretch. And
That's really cool.
Crier. I'm not the kind of guy who weeps at even the most touching, sentimental movies, but I was weeping openly running down Boylston Street, my face all red and swollen, and my eyes all just glassy and bubbling over. It was just overwhelming, just the nostalgia, just the appreciation for just having this opportunity, just one time more, one time to do this again with a dear friend. I was the best man at his wedding, and
that's amazing.
That is incredible.
Magical.
Yeah. So we are a huge strength and mobility and injury prevention channel. People come to us all the time because they're dealing with an issue like an Achilles, and they're trying to troubleshoot it, get a little bit stronger, figure out how to bring that back into the run form in certain ways so that they can do this stuff for longer and without those injuries. Sounds like, just for anyone who's trying to do 8 marathons 8 weeks in a row, you are going to be like tamping down the fires as you go. And you said specifically that Achilles was on fire after that race. Like, what were some of the strategies that you used just to keep your body healthy and able to just, survive these 8 marathons?
Yeah, I mean, I had to be pretty scrappy because, often I would run a marathon, wake up the next morning, like bang out a blog post, and then drive 8 hours. And
oh, wow.
Just the reality of the situation militated and doing things by the book. I greatly value, doing the little things, the stuff that the first corner that you're tempted to cut as a runner, like I know you shouldn't, but kind of something had to give. So I relied a little bit too much on taping, and just like salves and creams and stuff like that. I kept up on the best I could. Like I packed a couple of 35-pound dumbbells in the Funmobile is the name of the car.
Yeah.
Just a Mazda crossover thing, but we called it the Funmobile. So I had my 35-pound dumbbells, and that's a great weight for me. I could do just about anything with them to just kind of keep up on my strength, like sort of keep my body in balance. At the time, I was formally advised by Ben Rosario, the coach of So he was sort of like helping me be sensible in terms of like the training aspect. Because so much of that is like...
Totally. And guys, just for those of you who don't know who Ben Rosario is, he is the elite running coach for Hoka. Is it Northern Arizona Elite or Arizona Elite?
Northern.
And and he has a lot of incredible runners under him, but just most recently Scott Fauble was the top American in Boston. He ran a PR of 209 down from 212, and it's just always exciting when you see American marathoners starting to run their marathons in the single digits of the 2 hours as opposed to the double. So he is really doing some exciting things on the coaching side. But do you find yourself traveling with any, and if you're just relying on listening, that's obviously fine too, but like, did you find yourself like relying on any mobility tools, or like do you have like a foam roller with you, or lacrosse ball or anything like that?
Yeah, so I mean, I happen to actually be just by nature a very injury prone athlete. So I have seen my share of physical therapists over the years, and I had just by that point collected a set of exercises, drills, whatever, stretches to do, and it was like a routine. It's like a 15-minute, 20-minute routine.
Okay.
I would fit in. I viewed it sort of like flossing your teeth. Like I'm like whatever. I'm very punctilious on dental hygiene. And so I have that side of me. So sometimes I would get to a hotel late at night, and the last thing I wanted to do was bang out these 15 or 20 minutes of corrective exercises. But I would do it because, I mean, the value, if you just have to, it's counterintuitive if you're a runner who's maybe you started as an adult and you think only running should help me run better.
Yeah.
But I kept up on that stuff as best as I could.
Do you have those, what your routine is anywhere?
Yeah.
Have you written about it?
Well, it's constantly evolving. Like, for example, after this whole cross-country tour, and then after that, by the way, I spent the entire summer of 2017 training with Northern Arizona Elite in Flagstaff.
That's right.
So then I got injured a couple times there, and I picked up a couple things from their physical therapist and the guru John Ball down in Phoenix, who athletes fly from literally all over the world to get stuff from him. So then it evolved further, and then I got back into triathlon mode most recently. So then like my shoulders start falling apart. So then I go to see physical therapists. And so like I could give you today's routine, but it's not yesterday's, and it won't be tomorrow's.
Yeah, that's cool.
But
That's great.
But what's great is that you're doing something that's at least 15 minutes. And
Yeah, you
think,
have a toolkit and you use the tools as you have them and as you need them. That's amazing.
and I love the message about being scrappy, that even when you were having to do this, bang out a blog post, drive 8 hours to the next place, not ideal conditions. A lot of people travel to marathons and then they're on their feet all day, being a tourist, and then they have to get on some overnight cross-country flight. There's still, some things you can do and need to do to keep yourself healthy.
Totally.
What are some other stories that really stand out for you in your new life as a marathon book?
That's exactly what I was gonna ask you,
and
yeah.
as you're thinking about that, we just want to remind you guys that we are doing our aftershocks giveaway. We will be doing the drawing in 6 minutes. So if you haven't clicked the link in the description, get in there. You better do it, right? Because it's really only open to you guys for watching.
That's
So you
right.
get a good chance to win.
Very. Usually we have this open for the whole week, but smaller pool means more likely to win.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's. So I would love to hear a story or two more. We have about 6 or 7 minutes left. Just like coming from the book in terms of what do you like. What are like poignant points that you think were important to you as you were writing it, that you wanted to get across to your audience, and that that you want our listeners to know about?
One of the things, because I sort of had a message in place before I started writing this book, like something I wanted to get across. But when I went on this cross-country tour, I was open to experience. I didn't want to just like connect the dots and check the boxes and be like, yeah, that's exactly what I expected. I wanted to be surprised, to keep learning, to experience new things. And one thing that I got a much greater appreciation for over the course of that trip was the value of the experience of running for others, which is not something like I'd always been like a very self-focused runner. It's all about like goals and my performance, and like, I'm being a little Seinfeldian about this and exaggerating to a point, but I was the kind of athlete who, like, I could be running next to someone who had a heart attack and fell down, and I would just keep going. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd like to think I actually wouldn't have done that, but it would have been a thing to keep going. But
You'd stop your watch first and then maybe help them.
and then argue with the race director. I saved the man's life, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
You, damn it. But anyway, I got to, and I sort of had a theme in mind for each of these 8 events that I hoped would kind of work out, just in terms of like the arc of the story I wanted to tell. So I get to Reston, Virginia, and the theme I had in mind for that one was, in fact, running for others. And the way that race played out is, that was number 4, and that was a race where I was like trying to hold myself back, but also starting to feel my oats a little bit. And so I ended up running that a little bit faster than I expected, and I get about 21 miles in when I caught up to the female leader of the race. This young woman, very young woman, fresh out of college, named Casey. I knew she was Casey because people around there knew her, so when she passed an aid station, everyone cheered for Casey.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yelled back, "What am I, chopped liver?"
Yeah.
But when I caught up to her, I made a conscious decision to be her guardian angel and to get her through those last 5 miles. And, you have to sort of, you have to be careful with a struggling marathoner. It's so easy to do the wrong thing, especially when there's a gender dynamic at play.
Right.
I didn't want to be like a creepy dude sidling up next to her, So I gave out like a vibe like, hey, I'm here to help you. And the vibe I got back from her was like, yeah, please help me. Like, she was not like floating, but she was hurting. You know how a first marathon is. You go to a place you never thought you would experience. And so we worked together through those last, few miles, and I just gave her a little encouragement. I helped her, choose the right line, and gave her a sense of what was coming next, and what do everything I could do to just be practically beneficial to her. She stopped cramping at one point. I actually stopped with her, and she looked at me like I'm crazy. Like, why are you stopping? You're on the clock. I'm not having a heart attack.
Yeah.
But so we ended up, she ended up having to stop one last time, and at that point she's like, just go. So I ended up finishing, but she was right behind me, and she still ended up as the female champion of the race. And
That's cool. That's amazing.
She was like, not quite being able to stand, and like, the race staff are flocking around her, trying to help her out. But she kind of waves them all away, and she spots me sort of hanging in the back with a medal around my neck, and comes up to me and says, you were my guardian angel out there. I could not have, I would have been walking at 22 miles if you hadn't been out there. And I tell you, I mean this honestly, like that moment felt better and more gratifying to me than anything I had ever achieved for my own selfish purposes as a runner. And I just got it. I got that whole thing that had never made sense to me before. It's like sacrificing your race for the sake of someone else. It was just beautiful. And
That's amazing.
It wasn't something I expected. Yeah.
I love that story.
Yeah.
That is really incredible. Huh.
Well, there's a bunch more just as good in the book.
Yeah. That's a good. I love it. Let's end on that. That was
guys,
good.
We're not
gonna get better than that.
We have a link to Matt's book in
in the show notes. If you're watching after this and we're not live, the book link is down below. Highly recommend you check it out.
Definitely read Matt's article, "How Running Saved My Life" on Outside. It's fantastic.
Yeah, we can actually add that into the show notes below as well. We'll put that in afterwards. But thank you guys so much. Matt, thank you so much for signing on with us. Appreciate you spending the time and just being candid with our audience. And hopefully we'll chat with you again.
Yeah,
I'm sure that...
I'm about to stop writing books anytime.
Yeah, so let's say...
I'll give you a reason to have me back.
Yeah, there's not like 27 books and that's it. This is gonna keep going. Really appreciate it, and I've definitely been a fan from afar. So especially great to talk to you and connect.
Awesome, you guys have a great thing going on there. It was fun to be able to participate in it.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate that, Matt. So much.
Yeah, for sure. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
All right, peace.
Cheers. All right, guys. It is. Let me see if I can pop this back.
To our main screen. There we go.
We're back.
Oh, that was good. That was one of your better transitions, right?
I know, right?
The small things, guys. We got to celebrate the small things.
Hey, that was pretty cool. Matt has got a great story, and I love the combination of like his tenacity as a competitor, but also mixed with like his like dedication to the sport, his personal journey. Really cool. I'm just so glad that somebody like him is also the type of person who has been documenting it, because there are lots of these stories I'm sure that don't get told, and it's really cool that Matt's story is he's capable of writing it and telling it, which is awesome. So I'll definitely check out his book if you have a chance.
And he's a great storyteller, wonderful source of knowledge. Like, guys, you will not be disappointed by literally anything that Matt has written out. Like, totally. It's really, really great. We've both enjoyed it.
I see that you have...
we've just drawn the winner of our Aftershocks bundle, and congratulations to Raymond Paul from Seffner, Florida.
Where is Seffner, Florida?
I don't know.
Well, Raymond, you're probably listening to this right now, so congratulations. You're going to love the Aftershocks headphones.
Yeah, and the whole bundle.
I guarantee it. And you're going to, it gets a whole like welcome kit, which is awesome. If you guys have not checked out the Aftershocks headphones, hopefully they're at a race where you've been, so you can go actually like try them on or find them in a store. But
and actually, guys, if
I definitely recommend them.
Totally, like we have this special going with Aftershocks. I just drop it in the comments or the chat section, where you could get $50 off this bundle yourself. So you could get the whole endurance bundle, the headphones, the cooling towel, the whole thing for $50 off. So
we will drop that in the show notes as well.
We will do that.
Yeah, so the link below will link to the 50% discount as well. Thank you guys for signing on with us. It is 1 o'clock. We have actually ended on time, which is amazing. I miss these. I miss you guys, and we hope that we will pop these back into the schedule once we are done with our app launch.
Yeah.
Look out for it on a phone near you.
I know.
And we will see you guys on the flip side.
Does that mean we got to go back to work?
I know, right?
Yeah, we got to go back to work, guys. All right. Well, hey, for those of you in the U.S., happy Memorial Day. And I hope you guys get those barbecues out. We might be doing I'm gonna barbecue something.
I'm gonna be in Israel, so I think it's Memorial Day over there.
It's something.
We'll see you guys soon. Thanks,
All
guys.
right, cheers.
Hey, have you ever wanted to run a half marathon but don't know where to start or how to train for it? Well, we hear you. You see, a lot of our students, before they come to us, are looking to train for that half marathon or another competition, but they don't know how to train either. And here's the thing, just running won't cut it anymore. Sure, you may improve some running that way, but it's really not the most efficient way to train for a half marathon.